China is home to some of the most fascinating natural wonders and historic sites in the world. This country is so large and filled with thousands of years of history that even the locals don't know about all the places we are about to discover in this video. My name is Alexis, and welcome to Earth Narrated. Built into the side of a cliff more than 75 meters above the ground, the Hanging Temple in Shanxi is one of the most unusual temples in China. It's been standing for over 1,500 years, held up by wooden beams that stick straight out of the rock face. The temple is dedicated to 3 religions: Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism, all under one roof. It's a mix of small halls and narrow walkways, connected by rickety staircases that make you feel like you're floating in midair. It's not a huge place, but the setting and the engineering make it one of the most fascinating temples in the country. Hidden in the mountains of western Hubei, the Enshi Grand Canyon is sometimes called China's Colorado. Huge cliffs, sinkholes, and deep valleys make it one of the most dramatic landscapes in the region. Scattered through the canyon are small villages where Tujia and Miao ethnic groups live, farming terraced fields and maintaining old traditions. Narrow trails and hanging walkways connect the villages and lead to cliffside viewpoints, waterfalls, and caves. It's not as well known as some of China's bigger tourist spots, but the scenery here is incredible, and still mostly off the beaten path. With over 1,000 wooden stilt houses climbing the hillside, Xijiang Qianhu Miao Village is the largest Miao village in China. The name Qianhu literally means 1,000 households. And from above, it looks like a sea of rooftops surrounded by mountains. The Miao people here are known for their silver jewelry, embroidery, and traditional singing. During festivals, the village fills with music, dancing, and rows of long tables where locals and visitors eat together. At night, the entire hillside lights up, creating one of the most stunning views in Guizhou. In a remote corner of western China, Wangxian Valley is home to one of the most surreal villages you'll ever see. Built directly into the side of a vertical cliff, the houses cling to the rock face, stacked on narrow ledges with wooden balconies that hang over the drop, giving the whole place a dreamlike, almost fairy tale feel. Locals still live here, growing vegetables on tiny terraces and walking cliffside paths that would make most visitors freeze. There's no road, just narrow stone trails and steps carved into the rock. It's said that the village was originally built for safety, tucked away from conflict, and completely hidden from sight, unless you know where to look. The view from the village is stunning. Misty green valleys stretch out below, and the sounds of birds and distant waterfalls echo through the air. It's one of the most unique and secluded places in all of China, and somehow, it still feels like a secret. Known as one of China's 5 great mountains, Mount Hua is famous for its steep cliffs and narrow trails. Some paths are just wooden planks, bolted to the rock, with only chains to hold onto, making it one of the most thrilling hikes in the world. The mountain has 5 main peaks, each with its own viewpoint and temple. Pilgrims and tourists climb it year-round, either on foot or using the cable car to skip the hardest parts. It's popular with photographers for its sunrise views and with adventure seekers who want to try the so-called plank walk in the sky. With its steep rock pillars and unusual peaks, Fanjing Mountain looks like it belongs in a fantasy film. It's the highest mountain in Guizhou and a UNESCO World Heritage Site, known for its biodiversity and Buddhist temples. The most famous site is Red Cloud Golden Summit, a narrow spire of rock with 2 temples sitting at the top, connected by a narrow ridge. To get there, visitors climb thousands of steps, passing through thick forests filled with rare plants and animals found nowhere else. It's a sacred mountain and a tough climb, but the views from the summit are unforgettable. Zhangjiajie National Forest Park in Henan is known for its towering sandstone pillars that rise straight out of the forest, some reaching over 200 meters high. These formations were the inspiration for the floating mountains in the movie Avatar. And when the mist rolls in, it's easy to see why. A network of trails, cable cars, and glass bridges makes it easy to explore the park from every angle. The most famous viewpoint is probably the Avatar Hallelujah Mountain, where a stone column stands all by itself, surrounded by cliffs and clouds. Another highlight is the Zhangjiajie Glass Bridge, which stretches across a deep canyon and was once the longest of its kind in the world. You can also take the Beilong Elevator, a massive glass lift that climbs the side of a cliff in under 2 minutes. It's one of China's most surreal landscapes and one of the most popular national parks in the country. Carved into the cliffs of the Taihang Mountains, Guoliang village was almost completely cut off from the outside world until locals built a road themselves, right through the mountain. It took them 5 years using hand tools, and the result is a tunnel road with windows cut into the cliff face. The village sits high above a steep valley, with stone houses and quiet alleyways that haven't changed much in generations. It's become a popular tourist spot because of its isolation, dramatic scenery, and the story behind how the road was built. It's one of the most remote and dramatic-looking places in rural China. Tiger Leaping Gorge is one of the deepest river canyons in the world, carved by the Jinsha River between 2 massive mountains, Jade Dragon Snow Mountain and Haba Snow Mountain. It stretches for about 16 kilometers, with cliffs that rise up nearly 3,000 meters above the river. Legend says a tiger escaped a hunter by leaping across the narrowest point of the gorge, giving the place its name. There's a viewing spot at that exact location, where the river crashes against giant boulders in a roaring, muddy surge. Hiking trails run high above the water, passing through small villages, terraced farms, and stunning viewpoints. It's not an easy trek. Some paths are steep and narrow, but it's one of the most rewarding in China. The mix of raw natural power and high mountain scenery makes this gorge unforgettable. Located in Wulong County, near Chongqing, Tiansheng Sanqiao means 3 natural bridges. And that's exactly what it is. 3 giant stone arches formed by millions of years of erosion. They rise hundreds of feet above the canyon floor, surrounded by cliffs and dense vegetation. This area is part of the larger Wulong Karst landscape, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. There are hiking paths and boardwalks through the canyon, and some parts were used as filming locations for movies like Transformers: Age of Extinction. The size of the bridges and the scale of the canyon make it feel like something out of a fantasy movie. In the mountains near Shangri-La, Songzanlin Monastery is the largest Tibetan Buddhist monastery in Yunnan province. It was built in the 1600s and is sometimes called Little Potala Palace because of its similar architecture. The monastery complex has golden roofs, white walls, and prayer flags everywhere. Inside, there are giant Buddha statues, colorful murals, and long rows of prayer wheels. It's home to hundreds of monks and is an active religious center, not just a tourist site. The setting is peaceful, surrounded by grasslands and lakes, and you can usually hear chanting and horns echoing through the valley. If you've enjoyed the video so far, please consider subscribing to my channel, Earth Narrated, and clicking the thumbs up button as well. High in the mountains of southern Yunnan, the Yuanyang rice terraces are a patchwork of layered fields carved into the hills by the Han people over more than 1,000 years. These terraces follow the curves of the land, creating sweeping shapes that shimmer with water during planting season. The best time to visit is from December to March, when the terraces are filled with water and reflect the sky like a giant mirror. Sunrise and sunset turn the hills into a kaleidoscope of color: pink, gold, and deep blue across hundreds of levels. Small villages are scattered throughout the hills, where locals still farm by hand and wear traditional clothing. The area isn't heavily developed, so it has a peaceful, rural vibe that feels far away from modern life. It's both a cultural and natural wonder, built by hand and shaped by the seasons. Covered in mist and strange granite spires, Sanqing Mountain is one of the most unique-looking landscapes in China. The peaks are often surrounded by clouds, giving them a mystical, floating appearance. The mountain is named after the 3 Pure Ones, the highest deities in Taoism, and has long been considered a sacred place. Along the trails, you'll see hanging walkways, temples, and oddly shaped rocks that resemble animals or figures. It's less crowded than other famous mountains, but just as scenic, especially if you catch a clear morning above the clouds. Tucked into the mountains of northern Sichuan, Jiuzhaigou is famous for its colorful lakes, multi-tiered waterfalls, and peaceful Tibetan villages. The name means Valley of 9 Villages, referring to the Tibetan communities that have lived here for centuries. The water in the lakes is crystal clear and often bright blue or green due to the minerals and algae. Five Flower Lake, one of the most popular spots, looks like a watercolor painting, with tree trunks clearly visible beneath the surface. Wooden walkways and buses take visitors between the main sites, which include Pearl Shoal Waterfall, Mirror Lake, and the high-altitude Long Lake. The valley changes with the seasons, lush in summer, golden in autumn, and dusted with snow in winter. It's part national park, part cultural area, and all of it feels like something out of a storybook. Famous for Taoist temples and martial arts, the Wudang Mountains are both a natural wonder and a spiritual center. For centuries, monks have trained here in traditional Wudang Kung Fu, blending physical practice with Taoist philosophy. The mountain paths lead to ancient temples and palaces, including the Golden Hall at the summit, built entirely of bronze. Stone staircases cut through forests of pine and bamboo, with mist often drifting across the peaks. It's a peaceful place with deep cultural roots, and still feels like a living Taoist world. Carved into the side of a cliff where 3 rivers meet, the Leshan giant Buddha is the largest stone Buddha statue in the world. It was built over 1,200 years ago during the Tang dynasty and stands 71 meters tall, with ears longer than a person and toes big enough to sit on. The statue faces Mount Eme and was meant to calm the turbulent waters below, which were dangerous for passing boats. Monks spent decades carving it, and they even built a drainage system into the statue to protect it from erosion, something that still works today. You can see the Buddha from boats on the river, or climb down the steep staircase carved into the cliffside to stand right next to its feet. Despite its size, the statue has a calm, peaceful expression that's been watching over the rivers for over a millennium. Just outside Lijiang, Yulong Snow Mountain, also known as Jade Dragon Snow Mountain, stands tall with its snow-covered peaks and sharp ridges. It's the southernmost glacier in the northern hemisphere, and even though it's close to the tropics, the mountain stays snow-capped year-round. There's a cable car that takes visitors up to over 4,500 meters, where you can walk on wooden paths right near the glacier. The air is thin up there, so oxygen bottles are common. But the views are amazing. Icy cliffs on one side, and a sea of mountains stretching out below. Lower down, places like Blue Moon Valley offer turquoise-colored lakes and waterfalls, backed by alpine forests. The mountain is also considered sacred to the local Naxi people, and their traditional music and customs are still part of life in the villages around the base. Fenghuang, which means phoenix, is one of the best preserved ancient towns in China. Located in western Henan, the city sits along the banks of the Tuo River, with traditional wooden houses built on stilts right above the water. Stone bridges connect both sides of the river, and narrow alleys wind through old courtyards, temples, and shops. At night, red lanterns light up the riverside, reflecting off the water and giving the whole town a warm glow. The area is home to the Miao and Tujia ethnic groups, and their culture is still strong here. Local food, silver jewelry, and handmade embroidery are all part of daily life. Fenghuang is both a living town and a historical site, with a slower pace and a strong connection to the past. Since you watched all the way until the end, please subscribe to my channel, Earth Narrated, and click the thumbs up button as well. Which of these places you'd like to visit the most? Let me know in the comments below. Keep watching by clicking the video on your screen now.